I have always wondered why tropical forests like the Amazon have such a rich collection of species compared to the much smaller collection of animals found in cold temperate climates, like here in the UK. This phenomenon doesn't just apply to terrestrial life, but also marine life. Despite only covering 5% of the Earth's surface, they contain over half of all life on Earth. But why? Let's find out. Biodiversity refers to the abundance and variety of life. Yes, even microorganisms and fungi. Knowledge of regional differences in biodiversity can be traced back to ancient Greece, where different abundances of species were noted around the Mediterranean, particularly between Greece and Egypt, with Aristotle noting that environmental factors influence species distribution. During the Age of Exploration, those who visited the Americas reported a far higher diversity of species, as well as differences in the species found there. But it's only recently that we've had the data to show just how stark the difference in biodiversity is. The term biodiversity itself was coined in 1980, and quickly became a common term within the scientific community. As mentioned previously, biodiversity isn't spread evenly. Let's take a closer look at how the biodiversity is spread. 4 regions stand out for their high biodiversity: the tropical forests of Central and South America, Africa, Asia, and Oceania, with by far the highest being the Amazon rainforest. These regions can hold a vast density of species, like in the Amazon, where you might find 100 species in just 1 hectare, whereas a whole forest in England might only have 12 species. Looking at the map, the strongest correlation is the proximity of high biodiversity areas to the equator, and lower biodiversity near the poles. Okay, so let's finally answer the question, why are the tropics more biodiverse? There are a few factors responsible for greater biodiversity in the tropics. Let's go through them one by one. Temperature is the most important factor. Higher temperatures increase the rate of photosynthesis. This leads to more plant growth, and subsequently, more biomass when the plants die, supporting a larger food web, allowing for the speciation of a wider variety of animals. It's no more about the average temperature than it is about the stability of temperature in the tropics that leads to greater biodiversity. There are virtually no seasonal changes along the equator, meaning that plants grow year-round, providing resources to animals year-round, leading to a higher species richness. Another theory of how higher temperatures lead to higher biodiversity is that higher temperatures lead to higher reproductive and metabolic rates, leading to faster speciation. The stable climate allows for the development of highly specialized niches, as the conditions are less volatile, meaning that species don't have to adapt to several different seasons, allowing for a greater number of species to coexist. Stability also reduces the risk of extreme weather events, which can cause extinctions, meaning that species in the tropics are less likely to go extinct. The second most important factor is precipitation. Like temperature, water is one of the necessities for photosynthesis and crucial for plant growth, which is why wetter areas have higher density of plants, regardless of the temperature. And as mentioned previously, higher plant growth leads to higher resource production, decomposition, and biodiversity. Rainfall can also create many habitats, like wetlands, rivers, lakes, or even tiny puddles, meaning that a wider range of species adapt to them. It's also worth noting that animals need water to survive, so in a place where it's more abundant, they don't need to waste time, energy, and resources looking for it. A group of animals that are especially affected by rainfall are amphibians, as they need water to breathe and reproduce, with 75% of species living exclusively in the tropics. The type of soil also plays a crucial role, but it's heavily influenced by decaying plant matter influenced by the first two, so I won't go into too much detail. But nutrient-rich soils also help plants to grow. The physical structure of soil impacts water retention, which, as you already know, can contribute to higher biodiversity. Tropical soils, despite often being poor in nutrients compared to other soils, they are continuously replenished by the decomposition of organic matter. Let's dive a little deeper into why more species evolve in the tropics. The question can be summarized by one fact: there are more ecological niches in the tropics. In case you don't know what an ecological niche is, let me explain. Basically, an ecological niche is the role that the species plays in its ecosystem. For example, the sword-billed hummingbird of the Andes Mountains, which is the only bird to have a bill longer than the rest of its body, is able to reach the nectar deep inside the flower of the banana passion fruit, which no other hummingbird is able to reach, meaning that it's not in competition with other species, allowing for a greater number to coexist. A fun fact about the sword-billed hummingbird is that because its beak is so long, it is unable to use it to preen its feathers, therefore it has to use its feet. The uses of different niches leads to faster speciation, the process where a new species evolves, and is the reason for higher species diversity in the tropics. Wildlife populations have fallen 70% since 1970, largely driven by the loss of habitats in the tropics, as tropical forests are being cut down at much faster rates than boreal, temperate, or subtropical forests. So what can we actually do to prevent this loss of biodiversity? Let's break down the reasons for tropical deforestation. 41% of tropical deforestation is caused by cattle farming. This figure goes up to 91% in the Amazon rainforest, which has by far the highest biodiversity of any location on Earth. Another 18.6% is cut down for soy and palm oil production. But should you cut these products out of your diet? Surprisingly no. For example, 0% of the soy farmed in Brazil is eaten by humans, and it is instead fed to livestock or used as fuel. And you shouldn't necessarily quit palm oil either, as despite only taking up 6% of the land for vegetable oils, it produces 36% of the supply, meaning that if you switch to another oil, it could actually be worse for the environment. The other major factors are logging, responsible for 13% of deforestation. Around 5% is sugar, chocolate, and coffee, with the rest mainly being subsistence agriculture, livestock feed, and rice. So make sure next time you buy chocolate or coffee that it is Rainforest Alliance certified. But it isn't something citizens can completely tackle on their own. The government needs to take significant action as well, including banning imports on deforestation-linked goods, enforcing deforestation laws, reducing poverty, and using sophisticated technologies like AI to track deforestation.